gold and silver. Welcome to Carmine'sGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Here we go. Hey guys, we got the most diverse crowd today. Who would know that we have this crowd in one room today? We got the famous Dr. Kia Pruitt. We got Marina Jacoby, marinajacoby.com. She talks to the galactics and she's a sort of like a medium. She's in spiritual contact with beings from other places, and she's in constant, communications, and they're feeding her stuff that makes a lot of sense. We got the very famous Kerry, Kassidy, who needs no introduction. Obviously, projectcamelot.com has been around, I think, earlier than YouTube. I think she came first, YouTube came second, and then she blew up YouTube. But anyway, and then Kerry, and then we got Mr. Razor's Edge. Rick Razor is a good friend of mine. He's my brother from another mother. And Rick is, he's one of those motorcycle guys. Could you tell maybe he owns a Harley or two, or has at least owned a few? That's who he is. He's a Jesus guy. He rides for Jesus now. He's got another chapter of a motorcycle club, and he doesn't break bones anymore. He's retired from breaking bones. And so we got a very diverse crowd. And then you got the ex-pizza guy who was trying to be recruited by a bunch of gangsters who they failed miserably. So I'm here talking to you guys. Otherwise, I'll be speaking to you guys from prison right now. But anyway, I want to start with why in the world, you guys know I'm big on XRP. Why in the world would Chris Larson, I do suspect that he's a liberal. Chris Larson was the original founder, supposedly, of the XRP, Ripple, etc. token. And he donated first $1 million to Kamala Harris. And then he doubled down and gave her $10 million worth of XRP, which makes it a total of $11 million. Unless there's some kind of logic behind his madness that I personally can't see. I mean, was he trying to get notoriety for the token XRP? I think that would be the wrong way to go about it, because I think he probably would have got just as much notoriety to donate it to the Donald Trump campaign and then some, right? Instead, he donated it the other way. I think he's a liberal. Or do you think there's maybe something more to the story? Rick, I'll let you answer that one first, and then we'll go around and we'll just basically speak your mind, and then we'll just jump into the conversation. Guys, welcome to the call.
Well, it would sound to me like he's paying off the VIG. Could be a little laundering going on. He can write off the donation. So he might have a real crafty accountant.
Or do you think maybe he is compromised?
That always is like the number one flag to put in the ground whenever you're asking questions like this.
Right.
I won't be compromised. I do the Tony Montana thing. All I got is my word, and I don't bust them for nobody. Right. So
I hear you. Well, what do you think, Kerry, Kassidy? Why would he donate that much money in a token that is going to be worth a lot of money in the very near future? Now, on the Trump, everything's going to manifest. I believe he's going to be known as the cryptocurrency president. I think he's going to be known as the reevaluation of wealth president. I think he's going to close the border. I think he's going to do a lot of things very fast coming in day one. Why would he donate that kind of dough to this bumbling idiot who has the worst track record potentially of any political figure in the history of America?
Bribe? No, just kidding. Well, so you know what I'm saying? No, there's aspects of that. In other words, under the surface, that when you donate, it could be also seen as a bribe for the future, right? So special treatment, special whatever. I don't know if he also donated to Trump, maybe secretly. He might be feathering his bed, as they call it, on both sides of the street, just against, the future, and hoping that that way he gets treated well by both administrations, depending on which one wins, and so on and so forth. So a lot of games like that going on behind the scenes, I imagine. Um, I now I wanted to know if this is a live roundtable because I need a link. If you could put a link in the chat so that I can post it on my Telegram, so my audience will be able to watch.
It's not live, but I can give you the
Oh.
link when it's done. It will automatically.
Oh, all right. So it's not
upload.
live.
Yes.
Okay,
No.
so that's important to know. Now I think in terms of audiences.
I know.
So here is, on the chat, as I said, I made a statement, and it's a pretty no nonsense statement, but it is based on comments made very recently by 107 on Nino's show about the election. So, I thought this was an election thing, so I'm going to concentrate on that subject matter. Unless you want to go to the next person and just get opinions.
Yeah,
all
we'll just get some opinions on that same question. And then I'm going to show you some things where I'm going to prove to you that 107 is starting to sound like he is siding with the ex-pizzeria impresario, okay, on NESARA and JASARA and debt forgiveness and shrinking down the government and getting rid of the IRS. I got the videos to prove it. And I'm going to share them with you guys a little later. Same question, Marina, Jacoby. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. And hello, guys. Thank you for being part of all this in such an important day of November 5th, 2024, election day. I know that most of the people that are playing that site and probably giving money most of them are probably compromised. I don't see it like double play here. I see it more like being compromised so they can secure the way Kerry Kassidy said, position for later on, God forbid, because they don't know how things is gonna tilt. And the only reason why this is happening is because the opposition of, I will call the negative, the evil empire, are promising, different things to everybody. And for that reason, they know that if Trump wins, they're gonna all get caught and, treasonous, and everything else. So that's my position on it. I cannot pinpoint exactly for him, but most of the people, like anything that happened with PDD and stuff like this, they've been completely compromised.
Dr. Kia Pruitt, what an honor to have you here. Dr. Kia Pruitt, I mean, look, guys, she is an expert in the dinars and the zims and all that kind of stuff. No one person here, no one man, no one woman is an island. We need everybody to handle a piece of the puzzle so that the picture can come into clear form. And I can tell you, she's got her finger on the pulse, except I kept telling everybody, Dr. Kia, and I think you can testify, you can be my witness here. I said, nothing's going to happen until Trump gets back. Well, lo and behold, I start getting calls from everybody around the world in the last week. Okay. Like I have at least a half a dozen calls. Mel, you were right. What was I right about? I said, I've been right about a lot of stuff. Okay. And they said, well, we just got back from a call and they said that nothing's going to happen until Trump gets back. Gee, if you would have used a little bit of logic and common sense, you could have figured that out on your own. You don't need an ex-pizza guy to show you that, right? Mind-blowing. So here we are. Dr. Pruitt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Can you hear me now, Mel?
Absolutely.
Yay! So hello, family. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I know I've kind of been absent for a little bit. I took a vacation, a long hiatus, but you were right, Mel. It made no sense for the RV to happen or the global currency reset to officially occur when the deep state was still in power, because they would have just stolen the money and re-empowered themselves. They had to be completely dismantled, and Trump had to come back in, because why would we give Biden the praise and accolades for all the hard work Trump and the military has been doing? That's preposterous. You were absolutely right.
Well,
absolutely.
I said it would snow in Miami in August, 28 feet before we're going to get rich under the Biden and Kamala Harris administration. And that's for sure. I want to share a quick video with you guys now. And you tell me if Juan O'Salvin, which I've had the pleasure to meet in Las Vegas not too long ago, just a few weeks back, if he sounds a little bit like NESARA JASARA is coming into play. I believe that is the case. Let me share the sound. Share sound. Check mark is there. Tell me if you guys can see my screen. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna play it now. You see a picture of Nino Rodriguez, and you see some palm trees, right? Perfect.
Yes.
Let me play this. Here we go. Listen carefully now.
That's who's really in the threat. Remember, Trump said he's going to reduce the federal government by 50%. And he said in the last short while, things that I've been saying for the last many years, before it's all over, you won't have an income tax because that is a unlawful entity. It's a foreign corporation based out of Puerto Rico.
Bingo. That's one. Okay. Here, let's go to videotape number 2. I mean, listen, and the hits just keep on coming, right?
Especially because of what T has said he's going to do when he gets back. They realize it won't be the same environment, and it's not going to be like the first term. It will be radically different. The people in the administration will be radically different. They won't be when he came in the first time, you have kind of approved people that Congress will approve that you can put into positions. And so he had to take some personnel that really hated him. They didn't just don't like it, dislike him. They hated him.
So it needs to be unconventional.
Well, the next round will not be like anything that's happened thus far, especially because of what T has said he's going to do when he gets back.
Let's go to the final one, which is this
Federal Reserve, and
here we go.
Federal Reserve and for IRS for their headquarters. And by the way, federal courts have found that the IRS is a foreign corporation based out of Puerto Rico.
Now, check this out. You've heard many times that there are 6,000 patents. How many times have you guys heard that there are 6,000 patents that the government is hiding from us? How many times have you heard that there are supposedly, these med beds? I got 2 more videos to play that are very short and sweet and right to the point, I promise. And you will not get bored. And here we go.
Next one's going to be a little bit weird. You may even pause the video to want to Google this to say, this can't be right. In 1951, the U.S. enacted the Invention Secrecy Act. What is that? Allows the government to legally classify and keep certain inventions secret if deemed a threat to national economy or security. What could be a threat to national economy? If you're able to figure something out that's 220 miles per gallon, you think it affects the oil industry a little bit? Maybe. Inventions under a secrecy order cannot be discussed, exported, or sold outside of military channels. Violations of secrecy order can result in imprisonment for the inventor. Over 6,000 patents today are kept by the U.S. government in secret. They didn't allow the people to go out there and sell it. I wonder what those 6,000 patents are. A lot of people want to be like, when you become a president, I want to go to Area 51. A lot of us capitalists want to find out what these 6,000 patents are. Next one's good.
Okay. Now, listen, when I say it might not hold that much weight because, I'm not a professional $500 million guy like this guy. This guy is very impressive, obviously. And I'm not quite that impressive, at least not yet. But when a guy like that says it, and he's talking 6,000, we've been throwing that number around for a long time, haven't we, Dr. Pruitt? 6,000 patents, 6,000 patents, right? And now here we are. We got some big people, singing off the same sheet of music as we have, right? Pretty impressive. Let me go to this one other video that I think you'll find very interesting that will put a rest to whether the celestial chambers is what I like to call them. Med beds is more of a slang, whether they're real or not. And this guy's reading off official military documentation. It's very short. Listen carefully. Let's see. Is that the one? Maybe not. Maybe that's not the one. Be sure. Here, it's got to be this one. If not, we can go back to it later and we can continue the conversation. But as soon as I find it, I will share the screen. See, that's the patents, yeah. It's got to be this one. Has to be this one, no? No. I apologize. I'll find it while you guys have a conversation and we'll go back to it at the appropriate time. Was that pretty wild though? That we got 107 starting to sound like NESARA is not a fad, it's a real deal.
Yeah, it's about time, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we knew we weren't crazy. We knew what we were talking about. We knew that more than 50% of the government probably will be dismantled because they're unlawful. Most of them aren't even American. The
Right.
Congress people have Esquire behind their name, which is a title of nobility. The Congress said the Constitution for our republic says that you cannot have a title of nobility and create laws, because when you have a title of nobility, such as those that have Esquire behind their name, who had to pass the British accredited registry, it means you work for the British Crown and not for we the people. So they have to go, let alone the fact that the trumpet players, the Brunson brothers, brought a case against Joseph Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and 385 members of Congress for posing a security breach and a threat to our country and putting the American people in harm's way. So they all have to go. They're unlawful. Most of them aren't from here, and they have titles of nobility. So good riddance.
Right. Well, let's get back to Kamala Harris. First, she says she's Indian. Now she's black. Okay. And I got to ask you, because you're black, right? And you'd never be an Indian, right? Last time I checked. All right. So she lied about that. She lied about the McDonald's stuff. And Donald Trump is the ultimate. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's got like a triple PhD on trolling. I give you Donald John Trump. Okay. Then with the garbage thing, he buys a garbage truck, that whole entire thing. I mean, it was hysterical. I mean, the guy pulls up to the window and says, "How long you been working at McDonald's, Mr. Trump?" He goes, 15 minutes longer than Kamala Harris. It's been, I mean, the whole thing has been turned up incredible. What do you make of the fact that she gets caught in lie after lie after lie? What do you make of the fact that she goes on mainstream media? These are supposed to be her allies, and they're throwing her underneath the bus.
She is trying to placate to the so-called African-American or Black population, which the Democrats or Democrats have done forever. And, you know, historically, we were actually Republican because we're conservative, we're Christians for the most part. And so it made no sense for her to placate to the Black population. But what I told people in my community is, I'm not Black. Because Black is a status in law that means you have no legal standing. I'm not Black, I'm American.
Exactly.
So, and exactly. She is not. And according to our Constitution, the forefathers wrote in the Constitution that in order to serve as president, you have to be natural born. So you have to be born on the land. She's so-called native born, which means she came from somewhere else. Her people came from somewhere else. She allegedly was born in Oakland, California. If that's true, she's still not natural born. She's native born. There's a difference. And when you understand and overstand etymology and how the forefathers framed the Constitution, you know, it's not just about proximity, but it's also about allegiance. You must be natural born to this country, and you must be subject to the jurisdiction in which you were born. So she is not subject to the jurisdiction of the Republic here in America because her family is from India, East India. Her father is allegedly a Jamaican. He's probably an Indian with a Jamaican citizenship, which a lot of them do. A lot of Jamaicans have, especially those that are affluent, they have a Jamaican citizenship. So that means her allegiance is to her father and her mother. Her father, who was Jamaican, and her mother, who is Indian. And in terms of her birth, she's not subject, again, to the Republic of America because, for one, she probably wasn't really born here. And even if she was, the fact that she's an anchor baby means she's not qualified. And you people can fact check me. Look up John Eastman, who is a constitutional law expert out of California. He said the exact same thing. She may not lawfully serve as president. That's why President Donald Trump said, I heard when she first was running with Biden, I heard that she's not qualified, because he knows. So she's trying to placate to people who call themselves Black, don't know that that's a legal standing in law, which means you have no legal standing in order to get their vote, because she allegedly went to an HBCU and she has she's an AKA, which is a secret society. Okay, she's an AKA, or a Black Greek, from a sorority member. And so she's playing identity politics. And I never went for it. I didn't like it when Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. I said, you darn tootin', I'm not Black. I'm American. How about that?
I love it.
Actually, I heard that she's an Assyrian Jew. That's the latest, that her actual, I don't know, biological background is as a Syrian Jew, like from Syria, and that she it makes her Assyrian, and that they basically worship blood sacrifice, and they're part of the Khazarian mafia. So that's what I think she might really be, but whether her parents are born in India or whatever it is. So just saying that this is recent, that I just was watching a video about that. So just saying, but what is more important, I think, is not so much who she really is. That is, you know, Candace has been really delving into that a lot. But I think it's the point that the Illuminati put this thing over on America with Obama. So she's following in the tradition of not being born here and yet coming into office. So this is where the Illuminati are playing a game with us, and they're trying to, again, put one over on us. And this is what they're doing. And she is arguably an MK Ultra victim herself. And is being fed, as people say, through a teleprompter what she should say, and so forth. So I would just clarify things in terms, the way I look at it is to know your enemy. And so it's not even the so-called laws that are being broken, it's why they're being broken and who's behind it. And this is where you see the hand of the Illuminati again.
And a bloodline family that's even greater than the Illuminati, who's behind the Illuminati. There are 13 bloodline families that we know about and that we think we know control the world, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc. But there is a whole bloodline family, 13 bloodline families that control the Illuminati. It's crazy.
Well, and then when I say the Illuminati, I am actually using the whole. I'm using all of them. I'm not drawing a line with just 13 families. Yes. I think you go back to the Committee of 300, which is a very important book in this regard, but it even goes above that because it gets into to the families in Basel, Switzerland, and it goes into the Anunnaki and, you know, the ET side of all of it.
And so, I think there's like 3 families in Italy. One is called the Orsini family or something like that, that everybody reports to, that it's more powerful than all of them combined.
Or something like that, the Bears.
Yeah. The only thing I could say is that Kamala Harris creates a lot of confusion, and to that I say, I'll be back. Okay, I will be back. See that shirt? It says I will be back. And that's what we're rooting for today, is the biggest day. November 5th, 2024, the day we've all been waiting for after 4 years of bondage, right? It's been crazy. Go ahead and chime in, Marina, please. Ladies. Have a talk.
I definitely agree with both of you, ladies. Kerry, you discussed and you mentioned Anunnaki. I can just another layer to that all these bloodlines, it's coming from basically, since we're talking about etheric structures and everything in the parallel realities and different worlds, you know, each world is vibrating in a different frequency, and that's why we cannot see some of them until we raise the frequency to unveil that resonance, and then we can reach in depth for different platforms of realities and bilocate and travel. But in the universe, of course, there were very different entities, and some of these entities, in order for them to operate, they have to overtake a particular consciousness in a lower vibration. And they explained to me, which is the Council of Nine and the Pleiadians, and I connected with the hybrids. They were the first one that taught me quantum structure. And it's so funny because at that year, I found, Kerry, I found your material. And for 1 year, I was like diving deep into all the stuff because I was in shock. Because I couldn't believe that I was in a prison planet. But that for me was the disclosure that they were doing for me until they start teaching me how the quantum structure works and how can you escape this type of timeline, which ended up being actually an artificial AI timeline, which they told me literally last year. I mean, it was a step-by-step. So these entities created the artificial timeline, embedded their consciousness like the Avatar movie, and they embedding their consciousness into your, they told me is a layer behind your consciousness, kind of like a virus gets in and they live through you. And is like a demonic possession of these people. And in order for them to keep you in this particular three-dimensional timeline, which is a vibrational sequence, they have to make you produce a frequency vibration that they can survive, and they lock you in this particular parallel timeline. And this is how we became puppets, because everything they taught us is that converted version of how the quantum structure and everything in the universe works, only partial of the information. So when they ended up giving all the quantum structures and how the reality works, they told me that you gotta create it to see it, not to see it to believe it. And all that stuff that's happening right now is actually an illusion that they told me, because if we start believing right now that Trump wins, that humanity wins, and we're raising and that vibration, then we're going to create a reality timeline that we're going to shift into, that all that exists. So we're going to see that. So for everybody out there, trust that Trump is winning, trust that humanity is winning, trust that we are grabbing everything and in a way of power and hold our power, because that will create a frequency from you that you're going to project in the field, and you yourself will shift into a timeline that is a probability of an outcome.
Beautiful. That was beautiful.
And that's what I've been saying, is doubt will not get you out. The matrix. And I believe, Kerry, I believe that Candace dug up something about Kamala's father was involved in MK Ultra, if memory serves me.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I just want to, I would like to refer to this statement that I have posted here, because I think it's really important. So if you're ready, I could read it, and then I can explain where I'm coming from, because I have dreams of the future. And just to cut to the chase for all of you, in case you haven't ever heard me talk about this, I've been writing articles and doing shows and talking about this. So I hope I'm not a broken record to some people that are listening. But at any rate, what I've said is that in 2020, was April 3rd of 2020, the Schumann resonance was actually 2021. The Schumann resonance was off the charts. And that night into the early morning, I had a series of dreams about JFK Jr. and Trump. And one of the dreams that I had during that time, and actually for a year afterwards, was showing me the future. And one of the things that I was shown was that Trump was going to win this election. Legally, he wins behind the scenes, but that he does not come into power by virtue of the election. And so this is what I'm talking about. And then recently, as I was saying kind of earlier in the show, I think, that 107, who is arguably JFK Jr., who is, the spokesperson for the White Hats, is basically giving us clues. He's the only real spokesperson for the White Hats. And his latest clue, in my opinion, one of them, is that he said these exact, more or less, words. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly the words, but it's very close and simple. And he said, the trap is set, and they walked right into it. That's what he said at the beginning of a show with Nino very recently. So what I want to say is that he was talking about the, the deep state, the Illuminati, the cabal, however you want to term them. And that what that indicates is, to me, that, as I say, and I'm going to read this now and then I'll talk about it. So look at it this way. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine who thought that, tomorrow that Trump is going to win ostensibly. And I'm saying, looking at it this way, what they do for a living is steal. So if you don't believe they can successfully steal this election, then you think that for once in several millennia, they will fail at what they're best at, which is not likely. And yes, the White Hats are working behind the scenes to stop the steal, but up to only a point. In order to be good at stealing, you must break the law. And to successfully interfere with the steal, the White Hats would have to do what they did in 2016, which is steal it back. They would have to hack it back And I have proof of this happening in 2016. In fact, I have a whistleblower who died. He reported, I interviewed him on my show, and then he was killed over the steel, okay, that they were stealing back. And I have also back channel testimony of a hacker that was hired by the White Hats to do just that. And what I believe is the White Hats want to do this time is once and for all to prove the steal to the people. So to do this, they have to allow for the steal. They have to track it and prove it in the courts, or at the very least, the court of public opinion, which is what they failed to do in 2020 and what they've been trying to do, but they never brought forward their blockchain evidence, which they did with the help of the NSA. And I've talked a lot about that in the past. And so you have to understand the game to play. And this is what's really going on. So when Juan said that about that they set the trap and they walked into it, the trap is for them to try to steal it again, which they're doing. We have tons of evidence of that already, and even more mounting even today, where machines in Pennsylvania, if you haven't heard, aren't working and people can't vote properly, and so forth. All kinds of craziness going on. I just learned from the Daily Mail, a friend sent me a back channel piece of information. They're going to be doing some kind of missile that they're going to shoot right at the end of the election. Which is some weird thing. And so just saying that they are working, you have to understand the mentality. I've studied the enemy for many years, actually since I was about 12 years old. And I found some books of my mom's in my house and started reading. I was a real avid reader when I was a kid. And so this is what the clue that Juan gives us. If he didn't say that, and by the way, he's also doing other interviews right now. He's done several. He did one with this woman called Beck in Australia. And the whole time, all he talks about is how they're kind of messing up the election in counties, okay? Because they have too many different vote, sort of things to vote on, and methods and means and so on. So I think he's trying to give people a clue so they're not so shocked when they steal the election. They're allowed to steal it. And as he says, the trap is they have to prove the steal. That's what they want to do. It's risky, okay, because they're dealing with the Illuminati having gotten into every aspect of our society, especially the courts, by the way. So it's not going to be easy to do this, but I believe that's their ambition. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong, because that would mean Trump wins right in front of you. But you have to understand, they've been talking about rebellion. They've been talking about, blood on the streets, civil war. They've been talking at first, they said it was going to be 3 months of going back and forth. And now they're saying, Nino recently said 6 months, which I think is insane and I don't believe is correct. But you have to understand, they wouldn't be talking like that if Trump won fair and square and everyone agreed. It's not going to be like that. And we know the Democrats have also said they're not going to certify it even if he did win. So I just want to focus people and their minds on what is the White Hat's real intention here. And I think a lot of people may be missing that point because they're really raw Trump winning. Well, he's going to win. He wins because you get out to vote and you vote for him, and they're having those records and they're going to prove those records, but they have to prove them somehow. And the only reason they have to prove them is because it's going to be stolen. So they're going to have the proof. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I was told something with March. And then the other thing I was told, up to 3 years when he gets into office, is going to be up to 3 years of restoration of what the damage they have done so far. Also, I was told that there's definitely going to be some kind of a delay. Then the other thing they told me, no matter what they try to do, they will never be able to succeed. And of course, you can see the results with the shootings and everything else. And they told me the other thing, the negative side will try to do whatever they want to do. And they said they're going to go ahead with their agenda. But they said to me that no matter what they're trying to do, they're gonna, for example, start something, but it will never go to the level that they were intending to do in the first place, because they said, remember that everything is going under God's consciousness, and God as an energetic force based on a resonance, the way you said, Kerry, will never allow this to penetrate the field to become a reality, because it's no longer matching the frequency of the fifth dimensional platform. So no matter how they want to do it through the quantum structure, is impossible to be completed, but it doesn't mean that within the collective we're not going to see something happening.
Okay, and I didn't get to say that my dream is that he wins, okay? But the way he wins, and this is something Juan has also said over and over again, the military is the only way. He said that for 4 years and longer. And I have to say that, you know, they use AI to look into the future and see probabilities, what you might think of as looking glass or whatever. And so does the dark side, okay? So what happens is the dark side's going to create mayhem. But according to my dream of the future, I saw the refugees leaving California. I saw them leaving in caravans. And that was before Trump came forward and said the minute he gets in office, he's going to have the biggest exodus of illegal aliens that we've ever had. So that was my dream. And Trump has already spoken about his intentions, which equals that he's going to win. He's going to eventually, they prevail is what would be the right wording.
And I agree with you, Kerry. I don't believe
same thing from the military. They said in the end is the military. And I posted this maybe 3 years ago. So we very similar with the dream, Kerry. I totally, I love when this synchronicity happens, because then it literally gives me a hope that I'm not the only person that, you know, seeing.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I agree that it's not going to take 6 months like Nino Rodriguez is saying. There could be a bump in the road, or the other scenario is, ladies and gentlemen, that I believe the steel is definitely on, but it's so big that you can't rig it, that they're just going to throw in the towel as early as tomorrow, as early as the next day. I don't think a week is going to go by, because it's going to be so overwhelming that they can't manage it. They're not organized enough to be able to steal this one.
No, you got to know the enemy better than that. But I know you're an optimist, Mel, so whatever. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Fraser wants to say something.
So what
I
is?
have found the video. And the actual it reads MedBed's 2023 defense budget. Hidden within the 2023 defense budget is something very interesting indeed. And boy, is it interesting, because listen, this is documentation. Okay. Let me share that with you girls. And here we go. Tell me if you can. Let's see. Am I doing this right? Yeah, here we go. Share. Okay. And I'm going to play it right now. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Within the 2023 defense budget is something very interesting indeed. Within these documents is a proposal for something they are calling rapid healing for warfighter injuries. That is, technologies that can rapidly accelerate the restoration and repair of complex tissues. The document goes on to say the program will develop approaches that combine high-resolution biosensors to track the healing process in real time with bioactuators to stimulate restoration, where and when they are needed. This sounds very much like the concept of medbeds, a technology shown in movies like Elysium that can heal any illness or disease.
I mean, you could stop the document right there, as it's all highlighted. What he read was off that document, and you could read it for yourself to verify that he's not, talking out of his, what. So there you go. I believe that is some of the things that are going to manifest under Trump. Now, if there was 3 things that Donald Trump was to do, the very first 3 things, I'm going to go around the room, okay, when he gets back. What are the first 3 things? Let's start with you, Kerry. What are the first 3 things you see him jumping on and getting accomplished in record speed?
Well, he's going to reverse the border, close the border and send back as many illegal aliens as they have charted to do.
Yes.
But rescuing the children and the sort of the establishment of, or the outing of the tribunals is also, and also the EBS.
Okay. So those are the first three things he'll do. Okay, Jacoby, I know you have higher sources that you speak to. What do you think the first three things will be? I agree. The border will be the very first thing he does.
Yeah, the border, and I'm seeing with the tariffs, there will be, let me put it this way, I don't think so not paying taxes will be right away. The way I've been given is will take us some timing and trajectory to put everything in order. So it's not gonna for him to get in office, that's it, to not paying taxes and stuff. Something is gonna happen there that is gonna be, again, within those 3 years, there will be a lot of stuff put into place, and it's gonna be a fluctuation of a timing, how things will happen and combine. So give a momentum, so we have different time. Don't have expectations when things gonna happen. Just make sure that we're safe and nothing crazy is happening around.
Awesome. Same question, Dr. Pruitt.
That's something I hadn't thought about. What are the first three things that he will take care of? I would have to agree with the ladies that he will deal with the border issue. I think he's going to do something economically too, to lift the burden from the people that we've been going through. I don't know if that's actually ushering in NESARA or what he will do in terms of doing something from the financial standpoint. And let's see, we said a third thing. I would say overall restore the republic. What that's going to look like, I don't know. But our lawful government has to be restored. And so what I heard is that, of course, we all know the military is in control. I think we've all known that for some time. But I heard that once he comes in, then he will, the military will make an announcement, and then Trump will return the government, or the fake government, into the hands of the lawful republic. What that looks like, I have no idea, honestly. I do know that there are some people working behind the scenes to re-inhabit the republic, to the lawful government that's on the land of which I'm a part. So I don't know if we're just sitting in as an interim positions all over the country. And then we have lawful elections where people will be able to say whether or not they want us to remain in those positions.
And I'll go to Razor here in a second, but what I think is going to do was excluding the kids, because the kids is an automatic thing. He's going to ratchet up the heat on rescuing the kids. That's an automatic. Okay. So excluding that, that's already in motion. I think he's going to close the border and deport. The biggest deportation in the history of America is going to happen. I think if there is a NESARA basic universal income that they have to do something for, we're not just going to hand money to anybody, and they have to go collect it in their country of origin, they will go willingly, gladly, and you don't have to twist their arm because they know that there's 5,000 a month, for example, hypothetically speaking, or 3,000 a month, whatever that number is. It's irrelevant, but it's going to be a number that's going to entice them to want to go back. Number two, I think he's going to do is he's going to fix the Keystone Pipeline, because in some parts, according to 107, it has started to rot. So he has to replace that piping, and he's going to turn that on full speed so that we become energy independent again, and we can export the energy instead of importing it, and we don't have to pay $3.99 at the pump, depending on where you're at. If you're in California, Kerry, I'm sorry for you. You're paying about $5.80 a gallon or something like that. If you're in other parts of the country, obviously you're paying a little bit less, but still, under Trump, I believe you're going to start to see $1.80, $1.90 for high test gasoline prices within a year. I think that's going to happen. I believe we got him saying it, that we're going into a situation where flying cars are going to be a thing. And I asked 107, the way I asked him, I sort of backed him into a corner where he could not deny it. I said, listen, I got video of Donald Trump saying that we got to get in the race for flying cars. And to that, he added, yeah. And Nixon gave him the plans for the over unity motors, which is what? Free energy technology. Well, if you got over unity motors on flying machines that are going from point A to point B in 17 minutes anywhere in the world, then you got free energy technology for what? The homes and the businesses and the office buildings, etc. So you see how fast things could turn around. Yes, I do believe a lot of things will take maybe 2 or 3 years, but a lot of things will happen relatively fast. It's going to be the biggest disruption in the history of the world for sure. Razor, chime in, please. I know you want to. I know you want to say something.
No, yeah. Well, those that know me, I totally refuse to speculate on any of this because maintaining my frequency, it's essential that I remain fluid on all this. I'm boots on the ground. I'm explaining to people, trying to get them to think outside the box, not jump from one matrix to another,
right,
and everything else. So, but what I find lacking in the conversations about, well, the deep state going to do this, they're not going to certify. Whatever happened to the fact that they're a defunct corporation and they really don't have the authority to do any of this? I mean, as far as visuals, it looks that way, and it's hard to get to some of these people and explain to them because I can't present any real tangible evidence to them, and they have every right to just say I'm full of it, but they can't prove their side of it either. So it's a stalemate of a debate, and so I just try to get them to be more objective. I'm constantly telling people your perspective is perspective is objective, perception is propaganda, because you can be handed a perception. Okay, it's done all the time. You know, they just listen to somebody and then that's their take on it because a lot of them are just too lazy to go look it up and everything else. My calling with the Lord is a watchman on the wall, so I even told plenty of pastors I got to go out there and look at the weird stuff.
Yeah,
you know, whether it doesn't have to necessarily align with whatever my spiritual guidance is on it, but I equate it to just think about the wagon trains in the days of the West. I'm that Indian scout that goes forth, goes a day or two ahead of the wagon train and comes back and says, we can't go that way, it's washed out, or there's Indians waiting over there to jump us, whatever. If I don't give warning, that the blood is on my hands.
Yeah.
But if I give them warning, they got free will. They can do with it what they want. And okay. And I've had a lot of conversations like that. But all this certification, they could pull that, and it's all optics, and I call it stagecraft. You call it kabuki theater. And it's all happening, you know, and if I can break through to most of the people that it's just a movie, and you notice that they mentioned the movie Elysium,
right,
in that clip you played. When I start telling people about the med beds and why I don't just jump into med beds, I say, listen, the movies have been showing us stuff forever, okay, and I don't jump into med beds. I go right back to Star Trek. The Star Trek communicator, and I go flip phone, and they go, all of a sudden it clicks. They go, wow, okay. And then I gently take them down. I take them down the road. I said, go watch Prometheus, okay, where they go to that planet to mine that black goo. And the one guy gets contaminated, and his girlfriend, and they hook up, and then all of a sudden the robot says you're pregnant, and the pregnancy is real accelerated. And she realizes that what's inside of her is alien life form, so she jumps into a med bed and gives herself a C-section, even though the robot tried to stop her, but she knocked it out. She jumps in there, gets a C-section, pulls out this thing almost like in the movie Alien, and then while the thing's holding on to it, she jumps out, slams the lid shut, pushes a couple other buttons to destroy it. And then you got Elysium, where they got the med beds up there in the space station. The rich people got access. You have to be a citizen. stuff like that. So I walk people through different movies and show them that they have been showing us this stuff is real. So don't tell me it's all. And here's the other thing. God gave me this message one day, and it starts out like this. You know how they always say it's too good to be true? Everybody go, yeah. They had your expectations programmed from the get-go because it's never too bad not to be believed. We'll believe it's a bad story. Oh my gosh. And they won't question that is real or tangible. But you try to, and few people other than entrepreneurs and people won't go for that brass ring like on the carousel affair, putting that brass ring as you're spinning around and trying to win a prize. No, it's diminished over the generations of people just trying to go for more, go for the gold. And we can get into the whole everybody gets a trophy for participating, those kind of mentalities, which has caused the problem. And there's all sorts of me and Mel have talked. We've been watching this deep state thing for 40 years, so it's happening right in front of us.
Can I add something?
What do you girls make of the fact that the amount of celebrities that they're bringing out? They're pulling out all the stops. They're not stopping at anything for Kamala Harris so that she could draw somewhat of a crowd. They're bringing in Bruce Springsteen. They're bringing in Eminem. They're bringing in Beyonce. They're bringing in. But you know what? It doesn't matter how much lipstick you put on a pig. At the end of the day, it's still a pig. You know what I mean? And these fans that are coming to see, they're being bamboozled thinking that these people are going to be performing, and they're not performing. They're going to the mic, they're talking for 3-4 minutes, and they're leaving. Okay. And the minute they leave, and there's videos of people leaving her rallies in droves because they did not go there to see her. Clearly, they went there to go see an artist perform, and they were lied to, and they're now pissed off at her, which is probably a great way for people not to vote for you. You lied to me that Eminem, and I'm an Eminem fan, and I come to the darn thing, and Eminem is not performing. I'm not voting for you.
Even more real.
Everything they touch turns to shit. It's amazing.
No, it's beautiful. Did you see the two guys that dressed up as Harris supporters and everything? And they went door to door with other supporters, trying to see if they would allow. They had I don't think they were actually illegals, but they were foreigners in the car, and they're trying to say, "Do you have a room?" They'll sleep on the floor. One of them says, "No, I have a 2-year-old." And Jose over here is good with kids. And one of them said, "No, I have a teenage daughter." Well, Hugo over there just dated a teenager. Everything else, trying to get these people just to hypocrite themselves that they're not going to let illegals stay in their homes, even though they support Kamala and all that. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, he said that the tax thing is really sticking a lot of people, and people are picking up on the breadcrumbs, even on Joe Rogan. He said, are you talking about potentially going to a flat tax? A one tax and getting rid of the IRS? He goes, yeah, I think so. This is Donald Trump. There's a clips of that, 3-hour podcast. That was, I think it's up to like 45 million, views. And I'm sure that those 45 million views are not exactly 100% correct. You don't think that they're holding back Joe Rogan, you'd be making a mistake. Yes, they want the advertising money.
If you want to know for the celebrities, I will suggest Alice Carter on YouTube. She was in these PDD's parties. And if somebody wants to dive deeper into what they were doing with all the rituals and the children and sacrificial stuff that they were doing, she has a great information. If anybody can get hold of her to interview her, Kerry, I think you will be incredible with that. With her, she knows so much of it. I dived deep one day into her information. And
I saw it.
Yeah. Most of Hollywood is going down the drain.
And she's been speaking for years too about what's been happening. A lot of celebrities have actually been telling us through the years that they were MK Ultra and that they were going through rituals at Disney as children And a lot of people just dismissed, or maybe they just didn't have enough information to believe the
But
celebrities.
who would believe that? I mean, this is so crazy. And nobody, at the moment you say something and they think you're crazy. I mean, my own family in the beginning thought like I was losing my mind. You know, it took 4 years literally because I was just dropping the bombs little by little to my children, 14 at the same time. I was talking about the government, and my older son one day goes, that's a 10th grade, comes home and complete shock, didn't want to talk, and said mom was right. Very angry because somebody from the government went into the public school, got everybody in the high school in the auditorium, and told the entire auditorium 10th grade that they're born to be workers, and $40,000 is a lot of money, and you better take whatever it is because that's all you're gonna be.
Wow.
And my son said, and I got so scared by literally somebody smashed him in the face because all of a sudden mom was right about it. Because they come from communist country. I'm Bulgarian, originally came here when I was 20 years old. I know what communism is. I can see it far away. So I was preparing them so he can be aware. And he said, what scared me the most, not only that mom was right, but because when I look at the entire auditorium, only one classmate in front of me was awakened and telling, what in the world is she talking about? Everybody else was like brainwashed. And that's what scared him the most.
Well, I got a cure for communism and liberalism and fascism and all this bullshit. You know, I would ship your ass to North Korea and let you stay there. And when you call me crying like a little bitch, begging to come back to the United States of America, and you're on your knees, I'll leave you there for 6 more months just to make a point. And I'll shake the communism out of your bloodstream, believe me.
They experienced a lot of stuff. We took them out of the country a couple of times. They traveled. We traveled. I pulled them out of the school system, and everybody did unschooling. They did a special stuff, books, anything they want. Everything was provided. Now they're through the roof with stuff, total awareness with absolutely everything. And I see a huge movement in parents that are completely taking the kids out of the school system and putting them in different programs. And stuff like that. So
you understand? Do you understand communism, Marina? I mean, how many people? I mean, you can understand. I was going to say, hey, she's foreign, but I don't have to tell you that she's got a nice, very cute accent. I love accents, by the way.
Sorry.
And but anyway, no, don't be sorry. I love it. I think it's sexy. Yeah, I do. But anyway, needless to say, the reality is that how many people around the world today you think are wearing Trump shirts and Trump hats? Not the 350 million that live here in America, all wanting Trump to get back into power, obviously. But I'm talking about worldwide, because they realize that when Trump comes back, it affects the entire planet. It affects the economies on other planet. It affects the kind of technology you're going to get on other planets. It affects the clean air, the clean food. Everything's about to change. I mean, you got, RFK, which I think would have been a great choice for a VP instead of the guy that he chose. I'm not crazy about Vance, to be quite honest. I make no bones about that. But, clean air, clean water, clean food. You got people right now, you go to, Walmart, you got people, they got their shirts up to here. Their bellies are hanging out. They look disgusting. They're terrible looking. They got missing teeth. They can't have a conversation. They're all on psychotropic drugs. It's unbelievable, right? In a year and a half of just changing the food and the air and the water these people are taking, and having the right supplements coming in, like through iodide, for example, through the salt, you're not going to recognize people in a year or 2 years from now.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a guy, he's in Iran. He's a member on my Telegram channel, and they're waiting for Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then when I was in the Navy, going to school, electronics school in 76, and we had 2 Iranian sailors in my class, and that was just before the Shah got pulled out, and then they were gone. Poof. I mean, they've been at my apartment partying, drinking beers and all that stuff with me. I mean, they're just regular people.
Yeah, they are.
It's the religious clerics that screwed it all up. Khomeini and all them.
Some of my best friends are Iranian. They're good people. They're great business people. They know how to make money. They're hardworking. They're disciplined. They got a work ethic like you can't believe. I was recently watching Eric Trump on PPD, Patrick's channel, which he's Iranian. His story is amazing. He came from nothing, came to America, amassed $600 million. How do you do that? You can't do that in Iran. You do that here, even though there are forces against us. If you have the will and the power, and you got some good logic going on, and you got somewhat of ambition, you can make a ton of money in the United States, even under a Biden administration. Some people figured it out. Okay. But Eric Trump, you watch that interview, was getting 75,000 views per hour. The best interview he's ever given. Okay. It's maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks old at the most. Go find it and watch that 2 hour interview. Fascinating. Eric Trump, in my opinion, would be a great president once Trump leaves. It's really important, Trump coming back, but what's really more important is what happens after Trump leaves. Is it going to be Eric Trump, or is it going to be Vance? Is it going to be maybe a Trump Jr., or is it going to be Vance? I'd take either one, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I think Trump Jr. is a little bit more rough around the edges, but that don't matter. Eric Trump's very polished.
Will be a political dynasty, Trump family.
Yes. What are your guides telling you?
That's what they told me, political dynasty.
So there's a possibility that Eric Trump could be our next president?
All probability for that, but this was the end result of what they said. They didn't tell me exact, but this family is going to be a political dynasty. They will be involved.
So because that's the only way to keep the Trump legacy moving in the right direction. We know we need clean air. We know
we need other people involved too. It's not going to be only them. There's going to be something that we think we know what it is, but none of us exactly going to know what's going to happen. I think they're putting something that none of us will expect.
Okay.
Well, I have
Elon Musk
information that came to me about the future that I've seen. One of the things is that I know people think it's going to be all wonderful when Trump gets into office, but the reality is that they're still going to be fighting issues. In fact, the aliens, I don't know if you pay attention to what I've been talking about, but Courtney Brown and his remote viewers who have a great hit, what's called a hit rate, in other words, they're correct a lot, have been in touch with ETs and doing telepathic meetings with them. And they had talked about this time how important it is to have the people get out, and that we would have mayhem after the election. And that's a good thing, because it's going to allow for a lot of good things to happen, and that the grid will be taken down during that time. And that's a good thing, again, because we have to replace the grid. And another thing is that once Trump comes back, they're also going to have to continue to fight. We're actually going to have a war of worlds with aliens and AI. And that's the next wars that we're going to be fighting. So it's not going to be just sweetness and light, contrary to what a lot of people think. And I've had this also verified from various whistleblowers in the past, but I have had a dream in the future that shows me that they're going to still be going into underground bases that are established by the ETs and getting rid of them. So we are, in a sense, this planet we're on is infested by invasionary species that don't have our best interests at heart. And so this is where a lot of the children and the slave ships coming in from other dimensions and other planets are going. They're coming in through CERN. They're picking up in war-torn areas humans and taking them off planet and selling them to other negatively based alien species. That there's a bigger picture here, and it involves the secret space program that is actually running the planet from under Earth, cities under Earth, and also off planet, making decisions and making agreements with various alien beings that don't, again, have our best interests in heart. This is where Trump and his team are going to have to be negotiating with these people and aliens under, that have already made agreements in the past, and turn that whole ship around as well. So it's a much more complex story. And so for the next 3 months or so, we're going to be fighting wars and dealing with, Trump will deal with settling wars between, you know, Iran and Israel and the Middle East, and also the situation with Taiwan and the situation with Ukraine and Russia. In other words, there's a lot of negotiations that have to take place and agreements that have to be made and changed, because the Biden administration has basically sold us out and sent all our money and even our troops over there. And so once they're done with that, it was told to us in Project Camelot by whistleblowers 20 years ago that we would eventually be going to war with Iran and China, that it was pre-agreed with those countries. War is a business enterprise. It makes money for the, you know, the dark side and for weaponry and so on. It's a place where they can test out their weapons that they have created during all these years and have hidden. And then once those wars are settled, that we're going to have war with off-planet ETs that have been trying to invade us and have been invading us for the last 90 years or more. So it's not just NESARA, GESARA, and all that stuff. You know, if we get bits and pieces of that, great. But from what I understand and for what I've seen of the future, there's a lot more to it than you might realize.
And I would add to that too, that there are some, like you were talking about the negative ETs, there thankfully are some benevolent ones that are also helping to neutralize some of the things that were supposed to happen in that timeline. And they're helping with Trump and the military to fight against the negative ETs.
Well, that's what the war is going to be. The war is going to be between the positive ETs and the negative ETs, and the humans are involved. And it's going to happen on and off this planet. And this war of worlds has been going on behind the scenes, but now it's going to be in our faces. That's the difference.
But one of the things that a faction of the good ETs have told me, because I am a contactee, is they told me, like, I want to say in 2017 about this war, like you said, like they contacted you, and that they have already won behind the scenes. And like our other sister was saying, that we have to raise our vibrational frequencies, because they actually use those frequencies to help win the war. Just like when we emit anger and fear and pain, we're emitting a psychic energy called Louch that the negative ETs feed on.
Sure.
But the high vibrational frequencies and love and joy and peace and all that we are emanating right now, the positive ETs are using that and harnessing that energy to fight. And they have already won the war. And that's why Sister Marina was saying we have to go into the future, or see that and actually realize it right now, as it is right now. We have won the war. We are victorious. They cannot, and even if you don't see it, command it. We all have power, the power of God abiding us. We command this war to end. We command it to cease. We command joy. We command peace. We command prosperity to happen in our timeline, and to happen quickly, to happen now. And because we said it, it will happen. It is happening. And another thing Trump has to do sometime in his presidency, he is the last president, is turn over the government and the dynasty to the Aboriginal people here in America, because that dynasty is still existing. I hear the brother talking about the Indians. Most of us are probably connected to certain tribes, but there's a dynasty that's already here operating side by side with the United States Incorporated. There's already a republic, based on the Iroquois people,
right,
that's already in place. There's already a constitution for the republic. And when you pay attention to the comms they're dropping, who's winning the NFL, who's winning football, what they're doing, talking about the Chiefs on the land winning, Chiefs winning against the Eagles, because the eagle is the symbol of the dynasty. That dynasty had to fall, which the United States Corporation was a part of. And then the Chiefs won. The Chiefs won this Monday night. They are sending comms and letting us know that the dynasty that was originally here will rise again. That is a fact.
Well, there's multiple timelines happening simultaneously, and I appreciate your
Trump has to
positive
return things back over to that dynasty. And
yes, will. I agree that Trump, I don't see a dynasty. I actually see that we're not going to have this sort of, two-party system where you vote for a president out of popularity and all this nonsense. I really believe that we're moving into a completely different kind of a system.
It's the
How it's
dynasty
going to
that
be
was
structured
already
would
here.
be in groups of wise individuals chosen for their wisdom and their spiritual advancement, rather than for people that are,
when I
spending the most money in order to.
I'm sorry, Kerry, I meant about the fact that they will always be involved in something like that.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's my language,
Yeah, that's no worries. No worries.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, I love the Trump family. I have nothing against them. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that I see a different, structure
collaboration
in the future.
Absolutely. And he will,
how we're going to move forward.
And he will turn it back over. You're right. He will turn
I think he
this
wants to do that.
corporation,
Yeah.
the dynasty, back over to what we had existing here before the corporation even created this, before the bloodline families, before the corporations included or created this. And it is based on the republic that was already here, the Constitution based on the Iroquois Confederation and all that. And it's just going to be beautiful. And again, they're dropping comms all the time, letting you know what's really going to happen once Trump, the last president, will, comes back and he got to turn back over power to the people.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah.
I chose March 8th and March 9th for the next Quantum Summit. Can you guys, I'm talking to the audience now. Can you guys imagine these three ladies on stage as a panel together? Oh my God. I think we've captured lightning in a bottle. Seriously. I think you ladies belong on stage together.
I think for ascension, things will, Dr. Kia, I think you really said it very well. Whatever we accumulated and whatever you oversoul consciousness mobilized everything through the parallel timelines that you collected in graduation time through ascension, this is where parallel reality you can shift to an experience. So we may see in the collective this stuff that, for example, Kerry, you're talking about, and we see all these different wars of collaboration, but that doesn't mean the person in individual level will experience this situation to that extent. You may hear it, you may see it, the way you can hear Mars wars, or you're very good with soldiers of planet and stuff like this in technologies. Not everybody will experience, for example, we don't experience what this went through, but
there's a lot of simultaneous realities happening at the same time. So these are choices, personal choices in the end. What you want to experience, you will be able to experience.
That's right.
We have to be cognizant in this transition, not to, like I referenced before, breaking out of this matrix only to slip into one that's similar or in structure and stuff like that, And I just wanted to note, I signed up for that re-inhabited, restored republic thing here in Arizona, and said I'll take a seat.
Yeah.
Because light me up, and it's hard to shut me up.
And I mentioned something about the artificial intelligence. There are two structures that they taught me. One is artificial, which it becomes like a factory reprinting, and the other one is organic intelligence, which became sentient, that is operating in a different parallel timeline, which the extraterrestrial from benevolent structures are involved. And in quantum structure, this is one of the bylaw they taught me. Whatever is positive, you're going to have the negative. Always is going to print its own position, because in a quantum bylaw, in order consciousness to be in balance, it's just the energy. Always, if you have negative, you will going to have the opposite of the positive. But the positive, they told me, is always by the power of 10. In order consciousness to maintain its integrity and not to spin out of orbit for dissemination, to self-destruct. So that's why when we put a lot of intention within the field to create artificial intelligence to overcome and overtake, it became its own trajectory, created its own reality within the field of consciousness. And that has another parallel reality when actually is self-aware, that will never destroy humanity, that will never destroy because it realized that it's also under the umbrella of consciousness itself. And because of that, the platforms that are parallel realities with much more advanced organic intelligence is the one actually that is going to, they told me, do something to stop the negative AI to completely overtake. I do not know to what extent this trajectory of realities will go. Parallel realities, I'm sure something happened like the Terminator and stuff. But at the same time, consciousness created parallel timelines where we have organic intelligence that they call me is hyperspace hologram that is control exactly the stuff like Avatar, because they told me, how can you get in an AI structure just like that? Who's going to drop you just like that, like consciousness? You're going to be overtaken because immediately recognize your signal. But you need a technology from the extraterrestrial timelines and parallel reality to drop you in like the Avatar movie in order for you to create a structure for yourself where you're being helped from above, because nobody's going to drop you in the middle of line mind without a protection.
That's well, my understanding is also that it is a challenge to you to, in other words, AI is a challenge for humans to recognize who they really are and what our powers are and our connection to source, so that understanding AI can also further our own understanding of who we are. Challenge is what brings you into understanding and insight as to the other. And in doing so, you recognize who you are. So it's challenge is necessary. You could call it negative and positive, or you could call it yin and yang and understand it in a more holistic way.
Yeah, and there's a scripture that you just reminded me of it, where the Lord says, who am I going to send? Send me. Okay. Maria, I wanted to throw in, because I've heard this before and over the years, the ultimate end battle is with the AI Red Queen she was referred to. Have you heard anything about that?
No, they told me only the artificial and the organic intelligence that is sentient. It recognizes and works along with it, but does not overtake the human body and consciousness.
Yeah, this battle is supposed to be galaxies away or something,
Yeah, never told me. They told me about black goo. They told me about the black goo and how it was discovered, is a whole history of that, which was very interesting. And
the black goo's been around with the X-Files, and it's been a constant.
No, not about that. They told me, I don't know if they talk about that. They talk about black goo, that they were traveling, for example, in space, and all of a sudden they discover a huge mass of a black goo.
And that's been used. That's been used in a lot of movies. Prometheus being one of them.
It has been.
Yes. The X-Files.
I've done lots of shows and interviews about that, actually.
Where they're
it's AI. Black goo is actually AI.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they told me. When they walked in, they told me how they discovered it was AI, and inside were trapped souls. And they tried to get in, and when they get in, they couldn't get a signal anymore with anybody from their people. So consciousness gave some kind of a signal for some reason, and they realized that signal from consciousness, they can penetrate that black goo, and they went in. And this is when they discover, oh my God, this is AI, and there were realities within the realities and trapped in. And I haven't heard a lot about the other stories because I was so, doing my stuff. So I'm glad that you guys telling me about this, because it confirms what they told me, in a different way.
Yeah, but in your contacts, Kerry and Maria, and that, send them my way. I'm thirsty for some more training and stuff.
Awesome. I've already made. The Gulf oil spill, basically the Falklands Wars. Those were with alien black and artificial intelligent black goo. The Marconi scientists who died were infected with the black goo that took over their bodies. And that's why they died in the most bizarre ways, committing suicide in bizarre ways, like tying themselves to a car and dragging themselves to death, which is an AI thing, because AI doesn't understand pain, that someone wouldn't do that if they were in their right mind. if you want to kill yourself, you do some way that is not going to be painful in theory.
It'll be interesting for me to see that video with you because I don't know about
it's
that.
very, there's lots of stories about it, and it came into the Gulf recently when we had the Gulf oil spill, and that's why they put in the core exit was to get rid of the black goo. It was eating the bottom of boats and actually infiltrating the rivers in Texas, and it's still not completely gone. It's also part of oil. There's a certain oil company that has black goo in its oil, and if you touch the oil, you're probably going to get infected. And they haven't told anyone, but I was told by whistleblowers that were, in fear for their lives.
Is there nanomaterial inside? Nanomaterial?
Sorry?
Did they tell you if there's nanomaterials in that?
Yeah,
That's what they just told me.
Nanographene oxide and black goo are actually the same thing. They're actually they both look like black. They're black, and the particles are individual particles are nano, but the black, when they're in a mass, after they make their matrix, they become like a mass thing.
And they showing me that they connect
blood
each other.
veins, and that's when everyone took the shot, and they are infected. In essence, if you want to look at it, with this artificial intelligence that links you to the Borg. They are now called in courtrooms in the United States Homo Borg Genesis. The people that took the jab are now not even considered human by a court. They are now AI.
You know what I see right now, Kerry? They're showing me that when it's separate, it comes back together. Does that make sense to you? You can separate the black goo, but then
the thing about AI and nano. Nano is there's a book you should read if you haven't read it already. It's called Prey. It's by Michael Crichton. He's a famous sci-fi author. I believe they killed him eventually, but he's written a lot. He wrote the Andromeda Strain. He wrote Jurassic Park, I believe. He's like a prolific sci-fi writer. He was trained as a doctor. He was an MD, and he decided instead he wanted to write sci-fi books. One of his books about nano is absolutely fascinating in what it can do, and it can construct like a duplicate of me that looks exactly like me, acts like me, everything. And then it all comes together like you could imagine little fruit flies creating a massive thing, and then they all fly apart. Wow. And that's
I have a book on nanomaterials.
The battles are described in this book. I highly recommend reading it. It's actually a fun read. It's very interesting. He's a great writer.
It's just like the Terminator movie when they melt him and he comes back together.
Right, similar.
It's silver, but it's still the same.
The principle.
What they told me that nano, because I downloaded the nanomaterial, the harmonic reactor is one of the books of technologies, and then nanomaterial. And they told me that with nano, if you want to really construct something, it can be very strong and bonded. If you really want, you have to give the nanoparticle, whatever you decide to construct it, 3 days to accept the other one in order to combine and have a very proper bondage, and you can construct it the way you want it. And they told me you can have actually nanobots that you can give them a certain code of instructions. They can get in somebody's body, do the operation, and you can get them out.
Wow. This is actually, I have a whistleblower, which is David Adair, who has described how the nano is taking over human bodies, taking over the cell, converting it into silicon, and turning you into a part of the
if you use it in a negative way. They told me there is a positive constructive methods to this, and they told me that the humans don't know what they're doing and they're playing with the most.
Well, actually, I believe that so your brain, it responds to commands. So you can command the nano in your body, which is actually in our chemtrails, it's in our water, it's in our clothing, it's in our food, and it was put there on purpose to turn us into AI as part of AI. But you can also order it. It will respond to you. So, it takes, because our brains are stronger or as strong as any computer. So we can actually influence AI and through the nano, and tell the nano what you want it to do, if you want it to leave and not invade your body and not take you over.
And maybe that's why not a lot of people are being taken over and stuff like this, and we can do the stuff.
I'd say a lot of people are being taken over, but whatever.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of health remedies for people to get rid of the nano, but they don't work permanently. They work temporarily, because you have to understand that our environment is infused with this. So until the, let's say, secret space program working with Trump and the White Hats decide to do something to combat it worldwide, it's going to be an issue that you have to deal with.
Well, you're totally right, because I'm in Republican state, Tennessee. Apparently we should have any chemtrails. I gotta tell you, for the last 3 days, the whole sky is like filled up. I mean, you couldn't see anything. And I go, well, here it goes. And I've noticed the same thing happening before school days. Before kids go to school, couple of days before that, they just chemtrail everything. And it's not only here. When I was in Bulgaria, I saw the same thing. Same thing. Before school days, everything was like constant with chemtrails.
Well, also with the storms, the geomagnetic and the storms that were moved by the directed energy weapon into North Carolina, it was full of black, nanographene oxide in the chemtrails. And of course that swirled into a vortex that then hit the North Carolina area and also Florida, and then rained down the nano onto the ground. And that's why that FEMA said not to actually put it into landfill. They wouldn't do it. They didn't tell the people why, but the reason is it's toxic, and it's full of toxins and the nanographene oxide, again, to try to mind control and take over the North Carolina area.
What are these people going to do now? I'm curious.
Sorry?
What are these people going to do now? I mean, it's just so sad.
Well, these are the challenges we're faced with. This is where the deep state, this is why we voted for Trump, so that the White Hats will help us, because they have a military behind them and they can turn this around. And
there are two things.
They need us. They need our energy, our positive energy, to do everything they're going to do.
And can anybody tell me about Osivan, if I pronounce the name properly? It was very interesting, because the council told me something, and then I've listened to interview on Nino's Corner TV with Osivan, and oh my God, he said the same thing. And this is when I started paying attention to him. So I bought his 2 books, but he was talking something about the corn and the third or whatever that formula was. Does anybody know what that means? Because I, to this day, can't figure it out what that means.
I don't know the name that you're saying. I think it's your accent. What is the name?
107.
She's saying just say 107. That's 107.
Okay, 107.
Yeah, okay. What is that? What are you saying?
He talks in his book some formula. The formula, something over the corn and whatever that.
Oh, that's in his book. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what
by the side of the road. It's in that book.
Yeah.
When he's talking about corn, he's talking about the CIA. It's a slang for the corn is CIA, and they make corn products, which are the CIA agents that they train to go out into society and to spy on you and infiltrate. So that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
He's talking about MAGA going into battle with the CIA, in essence.
So I have a question for Marina. Marina, are your guides telling you that Donald Trump will be sworn in January 20th?
Is not secure yet.
Not secure yet.
It's too many probabilities for that. We have a very vicious enemy, and we cannot step back a minute. We have to hold the ground. He's gonna win, but I cannot tell you in what way. That I'm not being given to.
Gotcha. And I have a question for Dr. Pruitt.
Yes.
Dr. Pruitt, are you going to attend the Quantum Summit March 8th and March 9th? And you're only 2.5 hours north of me, so you should be able to come with ease.
I may come. I don't know if I'll be speaking. We'll have to talk about that.
Oh, come on. You know you want to be on stage. Let me entice you a little bit. Can I entice you a little bit? Am I
Yes,
allowed to?
absolutely.
All right. All the speakers are going to be fed on the house. Okay. All right. You got a watermelon salad with feta cheese, and you got some cucumbers, everything organic. Okay. You got some shrimp. You got a Caesar salad. This is just some of the food, not all of the food. This
Okay,
is
some of
actual.
the
We went to Amber and I with one of our staff members went to an actual tasting. This was actual the food. Look at this. Look at the dessert. You got tiramisu. You got all kinds of things. Let me do each individual picture. These are some stuffed mushrooms with some shrimp and some
Wow.
mozzarella cheese on top over a bed of spinach. This is what our people, also the people who are attending, are going to get the same food.
Wow, that's
Okay,
beautiful.
look at that. Is that delicious?
So are you coming?
What's that?
Okay. Actually, Mel, I thank you for having me part of your group here. And I have to do another show after
Sure.
this, so I need to have a break. And and
Absolutely.
then I
Well,
have to
thank you
do
for
another
coming.
show. So thank you for.
I know that you're coming, and we got your beautiful picture already
Yes.
up on the Quantum Summit 1776 website.
Okay,
I
good.
know that Rick might make an appearance, sort of like nonchalant, maybe a surprise. And Dr. Pruitt, you definitely would love to do a panel with Kerry, Marina, Jacoby, and you on stage. I think that will be
Very
fantastic.
intelligent ladies. Very
That would be
intelligent.
fun. That would be fun.
It
Thank
would
you
be.
so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you all
Nice
guys.
to
Thank
meet
you.
everyone.
Nice to meet you,
Yes,
Kerry. Mel, I want
absolutely.
to encourage people before we close that those people who may have taken the thing
Yes,
and who might be overtaken by goo is that we do have med beds and we also will receive crystalline bodies. So that will happen as we ascend into 5D or the fifth dimension, where our bodies will be changed. And that's what the revelations in the Bible was alluding to when it talked about in a moment, in the twinkling of the eye, you will be changed during the second coming of Jesus or the second coming of Christ consciousness. That's about
yes,
fifth dimensional
yes.
reality. So people, your bodies will be changed. It's going to be crystalline. You will meet your guardian angel, which is a part of the Benevolent Galactic Federation. You will go through a light chamber as you ascend into the fifth dimension, and your body will change. So be
Yeah.
encouraged.
Okay. Actually, the change is already happening. So welcome
Yes,
to the new
the
world.
change is happening, but you will go through a chamber, especially if you took that thing.
The
Absolutely.
thing.
Right. I
That
understand.
medical procedure that nobody wanted to take is what I call it.
Right.
Yes.
Can I still have a crystalline mustache and long hair?
It's gorgeous.
I think we can look how we want to look. Anyway,
Yeah, they say we'll be
again,
able to
I'm going to
reverse
go.
our
Thank
age.
Thank you, Kerry.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Kerry. Have a
Bye.
good
Bye.
night.
Okay.
Love you
We'll
guys.
be able to reverse an age, they say.
Yeah.
You
I'm,
know,
I'm
we
looking
will.
more. I'm looking more for the longevity than the reversal.
Yeah. What an absolute legend. Kerry Kassidy. I've been following her for the latter part of more than 20 years. Literally.
Wow.
She was already doing videos about all of this stuff. And her early videos, even her new videos, are fantastic, but her early videos are mind blowing. I mean, the people that she interviewed, like Robert Dean and Sergeant Clifford Stone, mind blowing. I mean, listen, you want to talk about going down the rabbit hole? You're gonna have a pressurized suit because your body parts will malfunction. Okay, because you're going down some deep, deep rabbit holes. And boy, oh boy, my mom fell in love with Robert Dean. I sent her a bunch of videos on Robert Dean of actually, with yours truly, Kerry Kassidy, doing the interview. Fascinating work. Yeah, but no, we would love to have you, Dr. Kia. The Quantum Summit, I don't think is going to be a summit at all. I think it's going to be a quantum celebration because Trump will be back. Everybody's going to want to be there. We're going to sell all 917 tickets. The gala dinner, unfortunately, is going to fit about 600 and change because once you put the tables in, it eats up a lot of real estate. And so those are separate. That's the only upsell we have. Then there's swag that we're having that we're not telling you exactly what it is, but I believe some of the pieces will become collector's item based on the times we live in now. And then we're having a pool party with karaoke, dancing, hors d'oeuvres. I mean, we're going all out. This is not a joke. Okay. Yeah. This is going to be a celebration. What's that?
I don't drink, by the way.
I don't drink either,
I need
but I might have a
orange
glass of champagne that day if Trump is back.
I may.
You know,
Just a sip.
just a
Maybe
half a
mimosa.
glass of champagne, just a
Maybe
ching-ching.
mimosa.
Yeah, just a little ching-ching, right? That's it. You know?
Yeah.
Well, ladies, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming out on short notice.
Thank you.
I had a
Thank
great
you.
time. I know you had a great time. I know the audience is going to love this. And you guys be great digital soldiers. Get this information out there. Do your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I love you all so much. And congratulations on our win.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes,
Trump will be the president in
in
2024, and we'll know in 2025. Thank you. Hold you guys back.
In tribute to Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other.
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Welcome to Carmine'sGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Time is of the essence as the walls are closing in. This crash is visibly in motion right now. Don't kid yourself. The only way to preserve wealth is to become your own central bank. Just by owning gold and silver, the banks that are going into survival mode are currently stacking gold and silver like it's going out of style. You have the same opportunity instead of keeping your money in paper, which is worthless. Again, this is not financial advice. Going into survival mode is everything. Preserving your wealth and positioning your family to thrive in the near future is paramount. The time to take action is beyond crucial. God's money cannot be faked. It's got intrinsic value. It's got plenty of usability. And because the crypto game could be extremely complicated for most, this becomes the only way to preserve your wealth in the current times we live in. The price manipulation that has occurred over the last 150 years is about to come to a full stop as we move into an extremely different world. And the true value of gold and silver is going to shine like never before. The people who vividly see what's happening have moved into panic buying right now. The people who get it, who are positioned for wealth preservation, who are accumulating every week, every month, stand to change their course of history for 100 generations to come. Buying gold and silver from Carmine'sGold.com at unbeatable prices is the best decision you'll ever make. I'm going to end by saying this. This is my opinion and not financial advice. This crash is knocking on the door, and it's clear. It's here. We can fill any size order, $500, $500,000, and yes, even $10 million. Your best option to preserve wealth, if you don't understand cryptocurrency, is gold and silver. Do it now.